Hi, hello, and good evening. It is April 6th. We are wrapping up WHODUNIT week. Who's in it?
Oh
WHODUNIT
no.
week here on Strat Chat with the Big Brother Canada House. Lots of fun things that went on. Also, lots of things that went on that I did not find very fun. I will say the unsponsored veto was a major minus to me. Okay, I don't like that. You know, I like my cheesy sponsored comps. So definitely a minus in my book, but that's okay. Lots of other things to discuss. Let's get into it, huh? That's sweet sax. I am Kyle Petty, and I am joined, as always, by my festy besties, John Dunphy and Gina Morgino, and this is Strat Chat. You can find us in the socials at Strat Chat Pod or on our website that is still half updated, you know, not totally ashamed, stratchatpod.com. All right, we're talking BB Can tonight. Super excited. Let's jump this thing off with Ty, huh? Ty's back.
Okay.
Ty's back, and everyone seems to think it's fine. It's now listen, I didn't do the digital dilly dallies this week. You know, I just extracted the information that I could get from the hashtag. So thank you to the BB Can fam for that.
I mean, that's still more than I did. So,
well, I mean, you know, it was also very unclear because no one really knew what was going on. Like, are people lying?
Sure, yeah.
And it's like, you know, I really like to vet my information out before I start posting on the social.
Yeah, and the little bit that I did see was a lot of people being like, "Oh my god, who do you think is the HOH?" And it's like, well, I don't care about people speculating on who it might be. Who is it?
I want to know exactly who it is, and I don't want to watch 2.5 hours of your faux
people
curated
wondering.
Yeah. No thanks. But well, now where do we go with that? We can go two different directions. I mean, obviously, Santina won. Santina won the HOH. Did you have any thoughts on that? Like, enough with her. Like, I'm so sick of her.
Like her.
She's so loud. She's so loud. She's playing a good game. I'll give her that.
Yeah, like I'm not where I was on her a couple weeks ago. Like
well, where were you a few weeks ago, and where are you now? Tell us more.
So you know, coming into the game, I was very lukewarm. After the whole betrayal of John Michael, I was not a fan, and aligning herself with Zach and with Ty was not a fan at all. But once she kind of like caught on that they were like totally controlling her game, and she had kind of put herself in a bad spot, really not working with the girls, now not really wanting to associate with Zach or Ty. I think that since then I have started to sort of like her more again. Not that she's my favorite by any means.
No.
But I do think that anybody who had won that week 1 veto, I would not have been a fan of, because I think that Zach would have tried to control them just the way that Santina was controlled. So I feel like she was sort of a victim of being that first HOH, having Zach in there, controlling everybody in the house. So I've come around on her a little bit more, but again, by no means is she my favorite.
Right. I would like for her to keep being invisible HOH. I like the chaos she brings, but I want also her DRs to be invisible. Like, just be quiet. Like, I don't need to hear anything. Just a quick update. Why'd you do it? That's it. Thank you. Goodbye. Like,
I think there were a couple of moments this week where she was doing a little too much and maybe like overcomplicating things, but we'll get there.
We're there.
Yeah, I think it's hard to say though, like what's too much and what's not, because you're playing like you're the HOH with all this power. People are accusing some people of being HOH, then fingers start getting pointed at you. It's kind of hard to judge how to play this HOH exactly, with like trying to toe that, you know, that thin line of being like, you know, am I giving too much away? Am I doing too much? Or, do I have to speak up more to keep the suspicion off of me? Like, it's got to be a tricky situation to be in.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know. I do agree that there were definitely some situations where I feel like she could have handled it a little better. Because Gina, I peeped your tweet.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
In the kitchen between her and Dan was so cringy, so uncomfortable, and
it was during last night's episode because you said literally. He was like, questioning her on like who she thinks it is or whatever, and she was like, "Yeah, I would never put up Ty." And then she walks away, and he goes, "Well, wait a second, would you put me up?" And she went,
Would I what?
And he went, "Well, would you put me up? Would I put who up? What you said you would never put up Ty? I would never put up Ty. That's never something that I would do. Okay, would
That's
you put
my
me
boy.
up?
I gotta keep my boy safe.
What?
Yeah.
But like every time that he would say, "Well, would you put me up?" She would be like, "Who? Would I? Sorry, who?" And it's like, just girl, no one is gonna know it's you. Just freaking say yes. Just say or say no, rather. Like just say like, "No, I would never do that to you. I would never put you up." Why are you playing dumb all of a sudden? You're so like, I would never put Ty on the block. That's never something I would do ever in my life. Okay, what about me?
I don't know.
Did someone say something? I don't like.
That doesn't really bother me that much. Like, have we ever seen her being that close with Dan S? That like we've seen her work with Ty. Like actually work with Ty.
It doesn't matter.
For me, the cringy part was the fact that she just kept acting like she didn't hear,
pretending that she didn't hear him.
Stop it! Everyone is now staying in the kitchen because they heard it too.
Regardless
just answer, honey. Just answer.
Regardless of whether you're close or not, if someone says, "Would you ever put me on the block?" the answer is always no. You don't think about it for a second. You said, "No, I would never do that." Of course I would do that.
Do I look fat in this dress? No. You don't even have to.
To be fair though, how many people have had a conversation with Dan S and come away been like, "You're not saying anything"? Kuzi had a moment with that with Dan, the same sort of thing. Like you know what I mean? Like it's not like Santina is the only one that's like been questioned on something and hasn't been able to give a firm answer right away.
We're not quite saying no one else was in this position. This just seemed to be the worst of them all.
Especially if you're really trying to like not cast suspicion on yourself and be invisible, why would you even draw out the conversation to make it sound like it's up in the air? And be like, if you're just saying like, "No, it's not me. That's so crazy. I would never put either of you up. That's wild." Yeah. End of conversation.
It's over.
I don't know.
It did feel pretty. It felt very drawn out to me.
I was like, why is this conversation still going? And why have you not said anything? He keeps asking you like, "Okay, but what about me?" And you're like, "What? Who? What?"
And you can tell Kuzi was basically doing nothing in the background. She just wanted to listen because she was basically just going back and forth like the sink into the counter. And she's going like,
"Yeah."
It's like so like,
look like you're being busy, but just pay attention so no one knows I'm here.
So funny, so good.
I feel like this season has been like full of cringy moments, and this one just kind of made me laugh. So like I don't know.
This one, I was sitting there, I was like, "Oh, I'm like, stop it, Santina, stop."
Oh,
like,
I was laughing too, but I was still
I wasn't laughing.
Like I was laughing. I think it was uncomfortable laughter because I was also just like loudly yelling at my computer, like, "You idiot! Just say no."
I don't know. I guess. Well, this is why once again, this is like the real downside of not having feeds, because I feel like Santina's probably giving Dan S just as much as he's ever given anyone in any conversation in that house. So
I mean, sure, but if someone specifically asks you, "Would you put me up?" there is a very obvious answer of what you're supposed to say. Unless you like very openly have a rivalry with that person where you already know, like, "Of course I'm putting you up. I don't like you." Like, if you're like have no animosity with someone, they say, "Well, would I be a target for you?" No, of course not. I would never put you up.
Why would you be a target? Yeah, like that's where the problem ran in for me. It wasn't so much. The default answer is just no. Like, yeah.
Especially because she kept going for so long about how she wouldn't do it to Ty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know?
It was like, well, then you're definitely saying that you would do this to me. So maybe Ty's the pawn. Yeah, there's a lot of other context that comes in there. Right. Speaking of context, all right, so there was a conversation. I know we're just jumping all over the place, but that's fine. So obviously Daniel wins the veto. The unsponsored veto. Boo. Boo. So disappointed. I saw that John liked this, had liked this comp because I said, "Oh, like a money heist or something." And I said, "Oh, this is so exciting." I said, "I wonder who sponsored it. Like maybe it was something like a bank." like maybe something like that. I was so
now no competition is ever allowed to be unsponsored.
Not in the BB Can house. Like we don't do that in America. But like here, I do expect a sponsored comp. I really like the cheese. That's really part of the reason why I'm here. I love that the fridge says HelloFresh. I love all of this stuff. And I do feel like it was some slight reparations that we got tonight, that we got the Cheesley family dinner brought to you by HelloFresh. I did like that. I hope it happened on a Sunday and it was just taken out of order. That's what I'd like to believe. Because that's when families get together on Sundays, right? Any Hoosers. So Daniel wins the veto. And so there was an interesting conversation that this was Wednesday night's episode when he was trying to now pull Ty in, which I really want to get into your thoughts on this, because like I'm all over the place. But in the middle of him doing this, I could have sworn he made mention of, if I take you off, you might have to be prepared for Claudia to go up. Didn't he mention Claudia and Ty say, yes, that's all right?
I don't remember.
I don't remember.
Eek, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I watched it all today, so it's a blur in my brain.
I feel like that was a part of the conversation, and I just wonder then what else was left out of that conversation, because like then how did Daniel sell to Ty that like I would know that this would happen? But if we can't get confirmation that's actually what happened, that's what I feel like.
Wait a minute. Was this conversation like outside in the workout area?
No.
All of a sudden,
conversation was in the library.
Never mind. Then I'm wrong. I don't remember.
For
some reason, I thought
because Ty was sitting on the pool table and he was sitting in that chair, in that big robe that Daniel likes to wear, and this is when he was talking about, can you look out for me? I'll look out for you. And he goes, who would be the next person that you would put up if you came off the block and you won HOH? And he said, I think Renee's got to go. He's like, oh, okay, well, I'll let you know that I won the invisible veto. And like he just like told him.
Okay, yeah, I remember that moment. I don't remember the whole
in there
Claudia mention.
I feel like he mentioned Claudia, and like Ty like signed off on it, and like
I don't remember.
Oh shoot, we're gonna have
I'm
to
sorry.
go back later.
We'll have to check it out.
Yeah,
but it's funny that you bring that up though, because we saw a lot in this episode of Claudia trying to like say, oh, I can separate game from personal, and I can distance myself from Ty, and I don't believe either one of them for a second. They're both protecting each other if they have to.
I was so on the Claudia train early on, but like as the game keeps progressing, like you can see her getting more and more clouded by the like showmancy piece to their relationship.
I tweeted about it this week that it's one of my biggest disappointments of the season so far, is that Claudia was like the first one to be like, we got to get rid of these bros, and then now she's like the biggest jerk left in the house.
Not even just that, like she was kind of showmancing him up in the first week, but she was so about like, yeah, I get that like we have this little thing, but he doesn't give me any information, so I don't want to give any to him. I don't fully trust him. Like was very much not like with him in a game sense. But you see less and less of that version of Claudia the more that she ties herself to him.
What do you got?
Right. No, I don't know what I got. I haven't worked through these thoughts. But it does bring us forward in this conversation, because I do think that Ty's agency in this game has changed dramatically, and it does need to be discussed. And it kind of brings us into the whole even Daniel thing with like, and Kuzi and Anika kind of signing off on Ty coming off. Like, all right. Where do we start? Well, all right. We have to backtrack now. So we have to start with the Crown, right? The Crown is the new alliance now between Kuzi, Jonathan, Anika, Daniel, and
Hope.
I don't know why he was the last one. That's so disrespectful when he was the one who stood there and announced it and gave us our crown gesture.
Yeah.
Both forgot him. Right. So we're looking at 5 people. But what I'm also seeing through these conversations, and again, I don't do the digital dilly-dallies, but 3 people now being set off from this, being like Kuzi, Daniel, and Anika, sounds very smart to me. Like, in a larger alliance, which 5 doesn't feel large now, but in a couple of weeks it will, right? So we definitely need to have something inside the 5. So 3 feels nice to me. And I do think it's interesting to kind of keep Ty as like this side 4th if you think that you can leverage him, if you think his loyalty is true. Now, I don't know. It's really, really hard to think. Like, I don't know much about his character other than his temper, because we don't have the benefit of feeds. But there seems to be an air that, like, he will be loyal to us. He seems to honor that, and maybe just honor the game code, right? If we want to take something positive from the letter experience. So for the three of them to kind of have him as another fourth, even if it only gives them 1 week of safety, is that such a bad thing? So there's discussion point 1, right? But now to circle it back to Claudia, I think that's interesting too, because now it's like, okay, maybe I can lean into this showman's a little bit more, because Ty's spot in all of this socially is a little bit different. He is never not a shield. Now, I could see a third discussion point is in, like, does that get us so much further in the game that now we start winning comps and we don't get out? I don't know. Question mark, question mark. We'll see how that goes. But lots of places to go here when we talk about Ty's agency and everyone else's relationship to him. And I'd love to get into each point because I think it's really interesting.
Yeah.
So go.
No, well, so what I think is interesting, because I keep forgetting it myself. Like, this is only our third eviction tonight, but we're already at jury. Okay, 6 people have left. So while 5 at this point of the game with this many evictions, like, doesn't feel like a lot, it actually is, because that's half the house. There's only 10 people left. So the crown is literally half of the house.
Right.
So if they're able to use Ty as a shield, like you were saying, or just to their benefit in any way, that can be helpful. And I also think that Santina, if she was to gain power again, is not going to be nominating anybody within the crown. It's going to be people like Ty. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really necessarily see her targeting anybody. So I feel like they're already in a very strong position.
They are.
I think that even Claudia too, like, if they want to use Ty, I think Claudia at this point is probably better off, like, kind of working with Ty, because Dan S leaving, that was Shanaea's person. You know what I mean? Like, now their little group of 4 is not a real thing anymore.
It's not. And now Shanaea is on an island, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Bye, girl. Sorry.
But so if you can use Ty, great. My only concern is that, and I understand the reasoning behind Kuzi and Anika wanting to keep Ty in there potentially for their benefit, but I do also think he's the biggest threat, because I do think that while people like Santina, might not target anybody in the crown, I do think that Ty would be someone that would target them. You know what I mean? I feel like you might think he's a shield, but he might also be one of the few people that's actually still going to be targeting your alliance. So I don't know.
What do you think in the alliance that Ty would target at this point?
I could see him going Jonathan. I could see him going after. I still could see him going after a Hope, because I don't think that he believes that, like, and we got it from Hope also, like kind of pretending that he had Ty's back, and then as soon as Ty left the room, being like, "Fuck no, I don't trust that guy." I think that Ty is in a desperate situation, so feels like he needs to, like, sort of have Hope's back. But if Ty was to all of a sudden be in power, I think he could start saying to people again, "Oh, well, remember, he tried to cheat in the game, so I'm going to put him up." I think that Ty right now is not saying that sort of stuff because he's in a desperate position and, like, all alone. But if he was to all of a sudden get power, I could see him putting up Hope and Jonathan. I could see him, maybe putting up an Anika. I don't know if Kuzi's in any danger, but, like, I don't know. I think that Ty, while he might be a shield, as far as, like, Kuzi and Anika are concerned, he might also be the biggest threat if he gains some power.
Yeah, it's interesting, because we really don't know enough about his game, because
he was so tied to Zach.
Right. We don't really know what he's thinking, unless we would know more from the dailies. But
well,
I also could just call them the dailies at that point. Let's be so disrespectful from the daily. So then, what do you think of Claudia then? Like, doubling down on her alliance with him?
I don't know. Here's the thing too. Like
She needs a
Claudia,
person.
Claudia was put into an interesting position this week too, because she, a lot of people were suspecting Renee of being this secret HOH, and Ty goes up, and then Claudia is a replacement nom. So obviously she was wrong. Renee was not the secret HOH, but her trust in Renee has been shattered, and now Dan S is gone. So sure, you've still got Shania, but like, do they become a three-person little alliance now? Claudia, Shania, and Ty? Like, I don't know. Like, it seems like they're kind of on very shaky ground. Essentially, at this point, I think Renee will be fine. Like, I think we could end up seeing this turn into like the Crown, and then Claudia, Renee, Shania, and Ty, with Santina just kind of being like in the middle. That's kind of where I could see this game going now from here.
It's so hard to get Claudia's reads too, because, and again, this is like, I don't want to keep complaining about not having live feeds, but like, the edit loves itself a showmance, no matter what season it is, the edit just loves to push this narrative of like, oh, everybody finds love in the Big Brother house.
Right.
So all we're really seeing of Claudia in relation to Ty is like the feelings piece to it. Oh, we're going to go kiss over here. Oh, we're going to go cuddle over here. We're not seeing any game talk. We're not seeing her talk about like her positioning in the house. So it's so hard to gauge how much of this is strategy versus not, because we're not getting those conversations and we're not seeing it in the feeds.
Yeah, it's a nice observation.
So it's really hard to gauge.
See, there's a part of me that kind of likes it for Claudia, especially now, because like I'm also starting to see twos split off. Because so we had the conversation before about having threes, but then like, so when Claudia made her pitch to Kuzi, the only other person in there was Anika. And I'm starting to see Kuzi and Anika as really the two of the three.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you start looking at twos, the whole reason why we said that Shanae was on an island now is because now Dan S is gone. So now like, so Claudia needs Ty as Kuzi needs Anika. So then who's left? Like, where do people shake out after that? Like, where is Daniel going? That'll be interesting, like to see, because like there isn't any more twos either. I don't know. In a game way, it could be good for Claudia. Ty has been strong in competitions, and it certainly keeps her off his radar. Whereas, what are the ramifications for breaking this off? What if Ty is leading this ship and Claudia just feels like she needs to keep up?
Yeah.
Because this was one of the first times I actually saw Ty smile. Hi, David. David says that Daniel and Anika have a final too.
Really? I wonder if that was in one of the dilly dallies.
Did we know this? There's a little part of me that's like, is that familiar? No, I'm not sure.
See, but it is interesting. It's interesting because like, I like Kuzi and Anika working together. And I could see Kuzi feeling comfortable being like, yeah, I'll make a final two with you, Anika. But I could also see Anika being like, if I go to a final two with Kuzi, I'm going to lose. So I need to make some other final two deals. You know what I mean? And maybe going with somebody like Daniel is more attractive. Even though at this point, Daniel has now won more comps than Anika, right? He won this last veto. So,
yeah. It's also good to have more than one final two.
Sure.
You just got to see how that one shakes out.
Right, because that's the thing too. Like, in the same sense of like, if someone says, hey, would you put me on the block? You say no. If someone says, hey, do you want to form a final two? You say yes. Like, you don't think about it.
Like,
so like,
no,
if Daniel approached her and was like, hey, let's be a final two, she's going to be like, sure, Like,
because you could be like weeks down the road, you'd be like, damn it, that conversation I had week 5. Stop.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fair.
See, this is what makes me feel like I don't know how good I would be at this game if I ever got to play it, because it's like, because I just think of like Tyler in his first season of Big Brother. He had a final two with literally everybody, and I feel like it ended
but
up
it
hurting
got
him in
him
the
to
end.
final two.
Well, sure, but I feel like part of the reason he didn't win is because everybody realized this guy made a final two with me. So it's like I can understand why somebody wouldn't want to just make a final two with everybody that approached them with one. But yeah, I also get that, like, you don't want to say no to someone if they're offering you that. But if I have a final two with 12 people, someone's gonna find out.
Right, and I think I think it was a tough position that Tyler was put in, that he was just so well liked that everyone wanted to, because it's like, also like, what do? You also like, what if like the people that you didn't really want to offer it are the people you first said yes to because they asked first, and then the people you really wanted it with ask after, and you're like, fuck.
Yeah.
You know, like I have to keep saying yes. I have to.
Yeah. Right.
The back end of this comment here was interesting to me. So David is confirming that multiple dailies have also confirmed the final two between Daniel and Anika. But in today's digital dilly dally, Kuzi apparently said that she knows that those two will take each other.
Interesting.
I don't.
Thank you for this information, by the way,
Yeah,
David.
thank you for that. Thank you for scouring the dallies.
I just can't bring myself to watch them. I'm sorry.
We just can't. But thank you for that. That's interesting. So what does Kuzi do? Well, Kuzi probably has Hope. Hope is really leaning into this soldier and queen concept here. Even in voting, he took a knee. Did he vote tonight?
Who's that?
Hope.
Oh gosh, did he?
He went in and did this, but now I don't remember if he did. The vote was unanimous and it was 8. We have 11 people in there or 12? We have 11. So then he did vote.
Was it? Yeah, I think he was only losing his vote in the last eviction, but it didn't happen. So nobody voted, and then he couldn't be HOH. So
yeah, I assumed losing a vote would carry over to like whatever the next eviction was.
I'm sorry. I like Hope, but I will call shenanigans on this.
I know what you're saying, but
because Australian Survivor would have been absolutely not. There was no tribal, so you lose a vote now. All right,
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I gave it a thought.
Let's see. I have the wiki up here. Let me see if I can find out.
Yeah, I know the vote was 8-0.
I totally spaced on that.
But how many people are left in the house? I always mess this count up. As you're looking that up, John, I do want to point out that David did comment something else here, that today Jonathan had hinted at wanting to take Kuzi to final 2. Now that makes me very excited, because you know that Jonathan has really tickled my fancy on this week. Okay. Yes. I did pay homage to him at the very beginning of this stream when I did the WHODUNIT.
The poor I was like, no, someone please help him. No one could have coached him on how to say this word before he went in there.
I'm so glad they didn't. Because I'm telling you, I swooned.
I felt so bad.
And just the fact that, again, that this man is aligned with and trusts these POCs in the house. I know some people came for me on the socials for this week, and that's fine. But this man, I do love him more for that. Okay. Yeah. This is a game that has been marked by racism in the past, and the fact that something good is happening here, we're going to acknowledge it. Sorry, get off me.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I agree. And I supported you.
Yes.
100%.
And I was come for a little bit as well. Mm-hmm. For that,
the tweeters Sassy John this week.
Oh yeah, no, they had our way with us.
listen. There's no need to call me sassy.
I'm not complaining about it.
I was responding to some nasty things. By the way, Hope did vote for Dan to be evicted, by the way, in this episode.
Yeah, so he didn't really get a canceled vote. I do call tomfoolery on that.
I completely forgot about that. Wow.
And it wouldn't have changed the outcome. It doesn't really matter. But I understand it was canceled, but then that means the full punishment that was given to you didn't actually get carried forth.
So. Right. It wouldn't have mattered either way, but just for the sake of the principle of it,
Right. But you know what? We've seen other people break a lot of rules in other ones and win. So know what?
Yeah, we have.
So whatever. Carry on. If they don't care, why should I? It's not my
Mhm.
money. It's not my $100,000. You know.
Which also, speaking of money, can we just acknowledge, like, why were there so many people not just voting or not betting the entire 50K?
Can we just talk about also? Yes, I think it's ridiculous that you didn't bid the entire 50K. But the only thing more ridiculous than that was the concept of this competition in general. What a fucking flop. Like, this was so boring to watch. If it wasn't for the who done, like, I would have gotten nothing out of this.
It was
Like,
also like
this
it wasn't even just the
sucks.
fact. It wasn't even just the fact that there were so many people that didn't vote the whole 50K. But then the tiebreaker question was like, what do you think the average is of where people would vote? And there were so many people that didn't understand that most people are going to, like, people being like, oh, I think the average is going to be 25K. So you're assuming that there are going to be people betting no money on this?
Right.
Like,
So
how do you
right.
think that that's going to be the average?
Yeah.
I will say that the only thing that I appreciated from this competition was that it looked like they were literally copying both the mole and the traders in this, because
Yes.
this definitely
Copy
harkens back to the bidding, like
Harkens,
our queen, our queen Joy, who
I saw
who
too. There was a tweet Kevin Jacobs tweeted like during the episode. He was like, Joy would not have bat an eye over that 50K. I was like,
yeah.
yes.
So the bidding part of it definitely reminded me of the mole, and
Mhm.
then just the table they all had to sit around afterwards with the star in the middle and everything, and they all had a glass at the table. This is like literally a copy of both the mole and the traders in one competition on BB Can, and
Mhm.
And I
that for
appreciate it.
that I appreciated it. Yeah.
I more than appreciate it. I loved it. What a nice nod just to the
Sure.
competitive reality TV fam. Like, thank you.
Yeah.
For that, BB Can.
I also
very tuned in.
along yeah, and along with Jonathan struggling with the who done it, who done it, who did not.
Favorite. I
Along
made
with
an
that,
entire egg sandwich with that on loop.
yeah, I also appreciate. I also really loved the moment when Daniel came in and sat down at the table and told Hope and Kuzi that it was a secret, invisible HOH, and Hope started freaking out.
Oh my
and Kuzi
God.
was like, "Sit down," and he sat right down. And then she goes, "This is what I'm here for. This is the game I came to play." And I was like, "Oh,
You have
what
to
a
act regal.
queen!"
You have to act regal.
Yeah.
Was Hope also the one that kept saying invincible, and she was like, the word is invisible?
Yes. God, I love her so much. I love her.
Which we haven't talked about her shining moment in tonight's episode yet.
She had a lot of them. But are you referring to
Oh, you know the one.
when the fighting was going on and she was in the pantry dancing and singing? Yeah. I was so happy that other people appreciated that. I was like, this
it was so much like people are fighting. It's not going to be me for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
No, that was fantastic. I absolutely,
love her.
I absolutely,
her.
I absolutely adore her.
She's fantastic. What do we think going forward now here? The house is in a very interesting state. And did Hope play in this? Yeah, Hope is in this.
I think everyone is.
Santina. But she has to drop, right?
Yeah.
Because we saw this exact thing basically in BB23 when Tiffany had to drop.
Did they tell us that though? Is that like a definite thing that has to happen? Or
I mean, she can't win HOH twice in a row. She has to just pretend to fail. You know,
well, I assume. Yeah, I assume. So what do you think happens? Like, let's say the craziest thing happens, which is not necessarily so crazy. Oh, David says that we are false. Incorrect. Santina can win
really?
Confirmed. Well, that's interesting, and I don't love it.
Yeah, that's not how I'm used to seeing that happen.
Right.
I always have seen it where they have to pretend to fall or pretend to lose a competition.
Plot twist, in my opinion, that's a flop. That's a flop.
Because we've seen secret HOHs not only in 23, like we've seen it a couple of times, and they can never win again.
Well, I just remember what I remember. I'm sorry.
Honestly, I kind of want Santina to win, if I'm being honest, because I think that she will go after Ty no matter what, and the crown will remain safe. So
Yeah, but
because
what if Ty gets off? Then what does Santina do? What's
well,
Santina's target?
maybe she'll backdoor him.
What if that fails?
I mean, it could, but I'm not sure that anybody else will put Ty up. And personally, this is just a selfish opinion of mine. I want Ty to go, and I feel like the most likely way for that to happen is if Santina is the one that's in power, because it doesn't look like Kuzi or Anika, and then by extension, Daniel C will put him up. Claudia is obviously not putting him up. You know what I mean? I don't think that Shania or Renee would either. I feel like
unless would people just want to break up the duo, or would they go for Claudia in that situation?
I don't know. It doesn't seem like anybody's really interested in breaking up the duo either, because they could have done that tonight. Ty was up, was replaced by Claudia, and unanimously people voted for Dan S. So it doesn't seem like anybody's really interested
But
in
Claudia
breaking up
is
that duo
also
anyway.
more, from my understanding, more well-liked. Like, I feel like Ty has ruffled more feathers. Claudia's just like a nice girl. You know, like no one wants to vote her out.
Sure, but I mean, if the whole issue is breaking up the duo, that could have been done this week. So
David is saying that people are voting for Santina to win the Be Direct Eviction Protection Insurance.
I did see that too, yeah.
That actually would have been my thought to vote. I think
I saw a couple people saying that on Twitter.
I don't really want to see more of her, but like from a game perspective, I think it's more interesting for her to stay around.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree too, because I feel like if she goes, like let's say she was the next to go, I feel like it instantly becomes the crown versus everybody else. Whereas like Santina like throws this whole wild card into the mix of like she could kind of like go for either side. You know what I mean? Because she's not really aligned with any of them.
Right, but it also makes her expendable. Like she becomes a very good option for like if she's up there as a pawn, but then like it doesn't go right, and you're like, you know what? Whatever to Santina. Like she really like no one really cares either.
You know what's funny is that like, are there no floaters this season? Is there anyone that you could look at that's still in there that's not? That's
I mean, again,
it's actually a floater.
It's so hard because, like, while we are at jury, we've played almost no game thus far. Like, it's so hard to see.
But people I agree, but people are in a lot of conversations. I think if there is a floater, it's Shania. But that's only because we don't see things. Like there has to be other things that we don't see. Because even Kuzi
and because like
her, which is like you don't know the kind of game that Shania is playing. So like,
and in Shania's defense too, every time that she aligns herself with someone, that person immediately gets sent home. So we don't really get to see her plan long term because she keeps aligning with people that like
her plan is bad. Because every time she aligns with somebody, they're next out. So like I don't know. Maybe she's not doing a good job. Who knows?
It's just I wish we saw everything.
Right.
Is Renee a floater?
I don't think Renee's a floater because she's just so vocal in
she seems very involved in things.
Yeah, like she's in it. So while she doesn't win competitions or anything, like she's definitely playing the social end of things. So she's not floating because like a floater to me, you can be playing even a bad game and still not be a floater. You're just not doing a good job. You think you're doing a good job, but you're not. You're in it, but it's just failing. She's in it, and I mean she's still there.
Yeah. Renee and her bootay. Somebody actually was. I saw somebody on Twitter actually. They commented tonight. You know what's funny about this is that 6 people have now left. This was the first time that Renee got to cast an eviction vote. Because
was she on the block both times?
Well, because she was either on the block or the person walked, so they had no eviction. So the 6th person has finally left, and Renee has finally cast a vote to evict.
Her first vote. Poor girl. Poor girl. Well, happy she got her chance. I'd love to know who your favorite players are. How you ranking, folks?
I think I have my 3.
Really? Let's go.
Yeah. I'm gonna go Kuzi.
Kuzi, number one.
Yeah, because she is the queen, and we do stan.
We do. Yes, we do. We absolutely do.
Yeah. Yep.
Wonderful.
Yep.
You rank number two.
I'm gonna go. My number 2 is gonna be Jonathan this week.
Jonathan, knocking your socks off.
Yeah.
Great. We love it.
Who done it? Who done it?
Poor Jonathan. Poor Jonathan.
No, but also because I really have started to like Jonathan. I think that he seems like a very nice guy. I actually do think he's thinking about this game. He's trying to make some moves and do some things. And yeah, I like Jonathan. And then my number 3, I don't know, this might be unpopular, but I'm going Santina. She's been all over the place.
No.
I'm giving Santina 1 point. She was the secret She was the secret HOH, and it was a wild week. And she took out Dan S. So
okay,
there you go.
Okay, all right, way to go. Good for you, Santina. Welcome to the conversation. That's her first Strat Chat point.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to be enough to get her on the actual chart. I don't think
that's fine.
Charting. It depends on what Gina does. I will tell you, she's not getting any points from house petting.
Yet I will not be giving Santina any points.
Well, let's just remember that this isn't really like, I'm giving her a point because I feel like she's playing a major role in what's happening there in the game.
You don't have to. You could give your
and she. Well, no, just giving some reasoning. Like she's in there. She is alone. She started to side with some of the worst people in there to begin with, and I think that now she's tried to play her own game. She was the first. She's the only person in there that's won two HOHs so far. And she's having a real impact on the game. So I think that's worth giving a point for. She's managed to survive without having any real numbers or alliance behind her. She's managed to survive as long as she has. And she's having an impact on the game. So for me, she gets 1 point.
All right. David wants to know, what if Santina wins HOH again? 3-time HOH. Guess now wanting to know if that changes. I guess I would now start to consider putting her as a part of my conversation. I would not say she's guaranteed a point, but
I think
at this point consider her more. Yes, I would.
At this point, she's won more comps than anybody else in there. She won the first part of that first HOH.
Nice. But that's not all that this game is about. All right,
it's not. But that's why she's only getting 1 point, not 3.
Right. No, it's fair. It's great that she's in the conversation. Good for her. Do you have your 3, Gina? I have mine. If you're,
I have my 2. I'm still waiting on my 3rd. You go first.
All right. Well, my number 1. I'm doubling down on everything that went down on Twitter. Jonathan is my number 1. I love everything. I love everything that I saw this week. I think we're doing nice things in the house. I think he's seated in a nice position. I don't think he's on anyone's radar. I don't think it matters who wins HOH. I don't really think people are really looking at him other than maybe Ty to break up that, Hope Jonathan thing. But he would really be the only one. Otherwise, no one else is really looking at him. So I think he's in a good position. Number 2, of course, I have to give my points to Kuzi. I don't know that there can be a week that I do not give her some. So there's 2 points to Kuzi. She's just doing wonderful things. I think she's playing a great game. I do think that from a game perspective, it's good to make the move and support the move rather to keep Ty in the game. I think it will work for her because he's not coming after her, so I don't want to see him, but it's good for her. So fine. We'll take it. And we definitely have hope. They're definitely working hard for us. And we've got Anika in our corner. So I was already seeing some things. I saw some things before we went live. That Summer from BB Can 10 had a conversation with Zach and can confirm that Daniel intends to move against Kuzi later in the game. Just read that in a headline. Didn't actually hear that from the horse's mouth. I read it. I read it from a person who said they watched. So who knows? Snopes could cancel me tomorrow. My last point is going to Claudia. Just because I like the girl.
Wow.
Yeah, I just like
Huh.
her. I like her. I don't think that her aligning herself is a bad with Ty is a bad game move. I don't want to see it, but I don't think it does anything to hurt her.
All right.
I mean, unless it's like unless some potential blowback from a failed shot at Ty. But I still think that people might go for a guy. I still think that Claudia is liked enough, like as we saw tonight, that she could probably eke out the votes. Like I think Claudia is like, I still think she's in a pretty good position.
Yeah, I don't think she's in any immediate danger. And I do, by the way, agree with you on your point about specifically Kuzi not having to work about Ty. I do think that Ty is a threat to the crown at large, but not to Kuzi in any way.
Mhm.
So if she's thinking about long-term game, the crown's great for now, but doesn't mean that Ty is
has
not
to fall as well.
Yeah, Ty. That doesn't mean
Yeah.
that Ty is not beneficial to her specifically. At
Right.
least for the time being. So I do agree with you on that.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, of course, you got it, man.
And now, where does that put the Lady Lupino?
I mean, my two are Kuzi and Jonathan as well. It's always the third person that I can never figure out.
But Kuzi has one?
Kuzi is one, yes. And Jonathan's two. For all the reasons that we've already said.
Right. Well, what do you think about your male winner pick? Wasn't that Daniel?
Boo.
Oh, you're booing him.
He's pissing me off.
He's pissing you off. And why is that though? Because you don't like the move to keep Ty in? You don't think but was that good for his game?
I mean, I don't enjoy that he's aligning himself with the people that I don't like, just as
right.
Like a
we don't like it as a viewer.
Yeah.
But it's
good to be fair, Daniel did go to Kuzi and Anika and ask what he should do with this veto. And they did encourage him. They did encourage him to take Ty down. So this was not Daniel's move alone.
No, I know. I do also I think because I know how much of a super fan he is and how much he was involved in what's the word for it? The online versions of the game, what do they call them? The ORGs or something. I expected better from him, I guess, than what I've seen so far.
Okay. Well, apparently Daniel talks about Kuzi all the time, similar to how Britt talked about Taylor in BB24.
Yeah, I can't get a read on Daniel. I don't know what he's doing in there. I really don't. But he's doing okay. I mean, he's made it to at least jury.
Which in this season was such a feat, let me tell you.
Well, he's certainly not getting Gina's last point.
I feel inclined to go Hope.
Hope, welcome to the conversation. Hope's first point. Hope's first point. After breaking the rules.
But again, I feel like that situation could have put him in such a bad spot. But rather than the house rallying against him, it was more why is everybody why is Zach freaking out about that? Shut up, Zach. Relax. It's not that big of a deal. And then, to Zach's point, he did then end up getting everybody else their letters, which was a positive reinforcement thing of oh, because of Hope, I now have this tangible thing of a piece of home that I can have on me. And where it could have landed him in such a dangerous position, especially with not being allowed to win the HOH and in theory losing a vote. No one's really talking about him. No one's really looking at him. He seems set up in a pretty good spot and people like him. So something that really could have tanked him maybe didn't skyrocket him, but it kind of leveled him out of no one's really seeing him as someone that they should be getting rid of.
Yeah, I think he's in a very good position as well. Unless it's Ty. Yeah. I think it's Ty that's really the only problem.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what I was thinking too, is that it might have been the best thing for Hope that he wasn't even eligible to be the secret HOH, because nobody had any reason to suspect him of anything because he literally can't be the HOH. It's not possible. He's been penalized.
And every time the house like erupted into chaos, he was just kind of on the outs because no one was mad at him because he obviously didn't do anything. So him and Kuzi were the only ones that no one could get mad at, you know?
Yeah.
So he got to just kind of sit around the house, and people would come to him to talk to him, and by all from everything that we've seen, like, he was probably one of the most trustworthy people in there because he was one of the people that you could know for sure. If I go and talk to this person right now, I know that they can't be lying to me because they couldn't be HOH. It's not even a possibility. So I can literally just go and try to talk game with this person and confide in them without having to worry, is this person lying to me? Are they the HOH? Whereas so many other people in there had to worry, like, oh, am I talking to the HOH right now? Am I doing something to hurt my game? That wasn't the case for Hope.
Yeah.
Love it. That's all I got.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think I'm pretty satisfied.
I don't think
I feel satisfied.
Yeah.
I really hope that we get our sponsored veto back next week. I don't hear who
we
it
get
is.
so many sponsors. I love it. I love it though. Between HelloFresh, Wendy's, Circle K, Winners,
which
Bel Air Direct.
Like, again, I'm not on the Santina train, but like, how sad that she had to have her Wendy's by herself in the HOH room so nobody knew that she had her Wendy's.
Honestly, I'd love that. I'm sitting here eating a Wendy's breakfast, and nobody else gets it.
Yeah, that
I get time away from these people. Yeah. I don't have to invite someone and talk game while I eat my Wendy's breakfast. I can just sit in this room and just enjoy my breakfast.
Kyle, I was also laughing so hard at your text in the group chat of her being like, oh my God, I hope nobody can hear me screaming. And you were like, well, there's a very easy way to avoid that, Santina.
Just stop screaming. And it's like, it's French toast sticks. Listen, this isn't Survivor.
To be fair, I would probably also get that lit about French toast sticks.
Listen, I will say that Wendy's French toast sticks are really good. I do think that Burger King's are better, but like,
wow,
sorry, but like, Wendy's does have a nice breakfast. Like, we give it to them. Like, fine, but like, we don't need to be screaming over it. This is not Survivor. You've been eating the entire time.
Sure.
Like,
yeah,
it's not that exciting. It's still just a French toast stick from a fast food place. Like, calm down. like, relax. My mind.
Yeah.
So what do we have coming up? Monday at 9:30. We are finally chatting about the Challenge World Championships.
Ooh, I gotta catch up. Yeah, so I am behind.
I'm a little behind too.
I only watched the first episode.
Yikes. Yeah, come join us. So that's Monday at 9:30. We're catching up at that. And then we'll be back next Thursday at 9:30 for another week of Beat the Can. That's it. Any final thoughts? Anything else for the benefit of the community here?
I think I'm good.
All hail Queen Kuzi. That's it.
Queen Kuzi and King Jonathan. I'd like to tell them.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
the crown that I recognize. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. You can find us on the socials at StratChatPod. You can also find us on TikTok. We don't talk about that enough. Gina's on there. I don't really know how to get there. I already deleted that. I'm done. I'm out of the TikTok conversation, but Gina's on there. She does things. Yeah,
TikTok.
Is that what I said? Did I just say TikTok? Yeah, I'm out of it. I'm done. We also have a website, stratchatpod.com. And that's it. Thanks for hanging. Toss us a like and a subscription, if you will, and tell a friend and keep hanging. We're out of here. Thanks a lot.